we're sort of back.
Yeah.
Back as we're gonna be, I think.
Yeah.
Intermittent. Your
It's been
dedication.
a few months, man. It's been a few months.
Bit of time. I mean,
Yeah.
things have been crazy, and yeah, I hit a wall big time. For those not, I think, did we do a COVID talk?
We've done a couple of COVID talks, but we didn't do a COVID talk.
Yeah,
Maybe we should.
I don't think we did an official COVID talk. My husband caught COVID and ended up in the hospital with blood clots, etc. So yeah, that happened. That was about month and a half of adventure. So
Yeah, that was scary.
that was a little terrifying. I was making a plan B for when I became a widow, which is so much fun. You know, thinking about like, okay, how much do I have in life insurance on him, etc.
It's a lot. He was really sick.
He was terrifyingly sick, and I joke about it now, and he denies that he had any problems. He was like, oh no, clearly the blood clots are just pre-existing.
But Pepperidge Farm remembers,
Yeah,
and I'm
Pepperidge
Pepperidge
Farm and
Farm.
Susie remembers, so his old family remembers. So yeah.
Scotch remembers.
So yeah, so that happened, and so we're still dealing with some of that. He's on blood thinners for the foreseeable future. He
What's he taking? Do you?
Eliquis.
Okay,
Yeah.
I took that one for a while. It's a good one. It keeps you regulated without having to go to the doctor all the time. For
Yes.
those who don't know,
Yes.
because normally on blood thinners you have to get monitored every week or more often to make sure that they're therapeutic.
Yep. And so
Um,
he's gonna go back to the doctor in about 5 months and get blood tested and everything.
okay.
But when he was in the hospital, he was on quite a cocktail of blood thinners. He was on heparin and Eliquis.
Yeah.
And
Whenever you're in the hospital, they do that because you're stationary. Whenever I have to go in the hospital, I take Lovenox, which is a
yeah,
form of synthetic heparin.
I actually wrote
But
training for Lovenox.
okay, so yeah, so I take Lovenox every day. I give myself a shot. But I have progressed from warfarin, which is like Coumadin,
Yep.
to Eliquis, and then the Eliquis wasn't therapeutic, and so now I'm on heparin, which is therapy, or the Lovenox, which is therapeutic for me. But when you're in the hospital, they give you both.
Yeah.
So I get, whenever I'm in the hospital, I get Eliquis and Lovenox
Yeah.
just to prevent, because you're stationary, you can't get up and move, and
Yeah. And
that's
he had it. I mean, the way we found it was because his leg was hurting, and I was like, we got to get you up and moving because he'd been laying on the couch for a while. And every day I was trying to get him up to like walk around the house. I was like, keep moving. And
mm,
we went for a walk around the block, and
mm,
he was like, man, my leg's really hurting. And then I looked at it and I'm like, your calf is bigger than your other calf.
mm.
And I was like, this is not good. And it was warm. And I was like, we're going to the doctor immediately.
I'm
And
glad you did.
yeah, I
I'm glad
had,
you know the signs to look for.
yeah. And I ended up, because I was going to get a COVID test to see if I could return to work, because he was already like a month past. So he wasn't like, he was just still dealing with the after effects. And I never got it because I'm vaccinated. So I was like,
Vaccinated.
okay. So I was just like, and my son never showed symptoms.
Mm.
So he had it, and so we were all like isolating in the house for like an entire month. Like just like,
Vaccinations are so important. One of the things where I've had a few months is I just had influenza A. Yeah, the
yeah,
dangerous variant. But because I had my flu shot, it wasn't as bad as it could have been. I
yeah.
mean, it wasn't good. I sprained my ribs, my two floating ribs on my left side
Ooh.
went like all janky,
Yeah, I've got
and I
flare
had to get
ribs.
them put back in position. It hurts. It
It
still
does.
hurts.
When
You
they
gonna
pop
take a
out of
deep
place,
breath?
like it's on this side, and every once in a while it just pops out the right way, and it just feels like somebody's jabbing me in my rib, in like my
Yeah.
sides, and it hurts. So
Yeah, I was concerned because I had a blood clot in my spleen a couple years ago, and that's the same area where I had the pain.
Yeah, I remember.
And with me having the flu, I was so incapacitated. I wasn't up moving around. I could hardly talk. I could hardly move. And I was worried I had gotten another blood clot, but luckily it wasn't.
Yeah.
But it's important, like, you got to know the signs and symptoms of blood clots and things like that. Even like we joke around that we're middle aged, but even in your 20s, you need to
Oh
know
yeah.
of these things.
Yeah, they can
And so
happen.
many people don't.
They can happen literally to anybody. Um,
Hmm.
like my dad had one, and
Hmm.
it was in his leg, and
Hmm.
his leg was like really hurting, and he ended up going to the ER. Thank God. And
Yeah.
they were like, "Oh, congratulations, you've got a blood clot."
Well, you know what's weird? I've never had a blood clot in my leg. I've had one in my brain. I've had more than one in my brain.
Yes, I
Um,
remember.
yeah. And I've had them in my spleen. I've had them in my lungs, but never my leg. Everywhere else but my leg.
Weird.
So
Usually, like,
that's something to pay attention to also. They
yeah,
don't always come in your leg.
definitely. With Hubs, he had it in the leg, but he also had them like in his lungs all over
Mhm.
the place.
Which
So
is terrifying.
yeah, yeah, it was serious. So they stuck him in the critical care unit, and he stayed there while they gave him his cocktails. And yeah, now he's back and cleaning the house like a maniac because he missed cleaning the house for like an entire month, and every
Aw,
single window is now clean. All of
he's so
them.
cute.
They're like spotless.
I love him so much. He's so adorable.
He is. He's
Like
a
his love language is definitely acts of service.
oh yeah, big time.
Like definitely his love language is taking care of you.
That carpet has been vacuumed like every single day.
Aw,
And so my son and I go and draw little hearts in it for him.
I'm sure he loves that.
Oh, absolutely. That's our love language.
I think that would be I think if I came downstairs and saw something like that and in my house, I would just be like, oh, I'd be all, oh, look how sweet.
And my son and I see it and make carpet angels.
Yeah. No, I mean if I came down and saw the carpet angels or the hearts or whatever,
Oh, okay.
I would find that very sweet.
Yeah. I also write "I heart you" on the bathroom mirror, so every time it gets steamed up, it comes back,
That's cute.
and then Hubs goes and cleans the mirror because it's dirty.
But then you get to write it again. You get
But
to
then I
remind
write it
him.
again.
It's
So
sweet.
I told him, I was like, I am making a mess so that you have something to clean. That's my love language, making messes.
Providing you with things to do
Exactly.
is
He
how I show
he
you I love you.
clearly enjoys cleaning. Otherwise, why would he do it? But yeah, the yard is completely spotless. The windows are spotless. The
Your yard
house,
is always immaculate.
it's even more immaculate now. We have like Edison style lights hanging in the gazebo now.
Mhm.
And for Christmas, he ordered replacement bulbs for the Edison lights that are
Let me
colored.
stop you for just a second. I don't know what that means, Edison lights.
They're like those old fashioned lights, like those lights that they hang on like old city streets and stuff that they look
Oh,
like
okay.
the old Edison bulbs.
Okay.
Um, so he ordered replacements, and they're in all different colors. And he went out there and replaced all of them with colored lights so that we would have Christmas Edison lights.
Oh my gosh, my heart. That is just the most OCD, anal retentive, sweet thing
I was
so
just
that you guys could have Christmas light. That is
I
just
was
so
like,
cute.
I was like, why didn't you just order a set of Christmas lights to hang on there and just hang them up and be done with it and just leave like the regular lights? And
But I can see his logic. Why have two sets when you can have one?
yeah, that was the logic. And so
I can totally see it.
we now have different colored Christmas lights in on the gazebo frame, and it every time he strung up lights around the lamppost, it's got a Santa head on it. Um,
Aw,
we've got lights out front. I mean, it's so many lights. And
it's
then,
wonderful. I love Christmas lights.
well, every time we walk in, he'll go to Scutch. He'll be like, "Did you look at the pretty lights?" And Brian's like, "Yes, I looked at the light." It's like, stop asking
Please
me.
acknowledge me.
Exactly. I was like, oh my god. I was like, you two. They're always fighting.
That's so cute.
They've been fighting since day one.
Yeah.
Since the second my son came out of the womb and pissed on everybody in the opera in like the birthing area except me. He didn't pee on me. He was done by then.
Yeah. What control?
I tell you, but yeah, peed on Ty. Like Ty was like all excited, like, "Oh, my son!" And I was like,
They didn't warn you that that would happen. They warned us that that would happen with
it
AJ.
was so. My sister and I talked, and everything that my mother had not told me about what she read in my chart, she told my
Mhm.
sister. Um,
Okay.
Apparently, both of us almost bit the bullet that day. And so I think they were more worried about just keeping us both alive than warning us about a kid pissing on us.
I mean, come on.
I mean,
Keeping
in the
you alive,
grand
that's small
scheme of
potatoes.
things,
In the grand scheme of things, you got to worry about the towel to cover the little pee-pee.
nope, was
Keep it
not
getting.
worried about the towel. It was like, we're gonna save both the mom and the baby. And
Yeah, I thought that was a myth,
what?
honestly, that when little pee-pees get exposed to air, they pee,
Oh yeah, yeah.
until I had a boy.
Yeah, we
And
figured it
then
out when we were changing him. Like you put the diaper over it and you take the old diaper out.
when we were in the hospital, I thought that I had accidentally murdered my child. Because, okay, first off, I'm changing his diaper. I've never had a boy before. I'm in rough shape from the birth, and I'd been in the hospital for a couple weeks before. And I wasn't fast enough with the diaper. So I'm holding his little hiney up, and he peed, and it landed in his own mouth because he was crying.
That's on brand.
He was 2 days old.
So on brand
For him or me.
for both.
So I thought I was like all upset. I called the nurse. His dad is trying to calm me down. He's like, it's fine. He's going to be fine. You're in sterile. I'm like, no, he's going to die. I've killed him. He's going to aspirate it in his lungs. The nurse was like, okay, so he's been in your uterus and he's been drinking that. Basically amniotic fluid is basically baby waste. And he's fine. Urine is sterile. Urine is, she just kept telling me, urine is sterile. He's fine. He didn't breathe it in.
You're
He didn't get it in his
fine.
lungs. He's
He'll be
fine.
fine.
He'll be fine. She's like, it'll build his little immune system.
There you go.
And I was like, I've murdered my child. And
That is hysterical.
yeah.
But yeah, we kind of went on a tangent there. Wow.
Yeah,
We went from
shocking.
we went back to the hospital again. So I mean, it was
Yeah.
a life-threatening hospital, life-threatening hospital. So yeah,
But I
I can
mean,
follow that train of thought.
that's also on brand.
Yeah,
The
that's totally
tangent.
on brand. Tangents,
Squirrel.
totally on brand. So yeah, I've been dealing with that. And I mean, life in general. I think everybody's been hitting a wall right now.
Yeah.
And I was talking to my friends last night, and I was just like, I'm so tired. I'm so like followed all the rules, wore the mask and everything, and then my husband still caught it because he's just like, "Meh."
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I am exhausted. I'm
But you
exhausted.
can follow, that's the thing with this. That's why it's so important to get vaccinated,
Yeah.
because you follow all the rules and wear your mask and wash your hands. But if you're not vaccinated, it's insidious.
Oh yeah.
It's gonna find a way because
Well,
life finds a
where
way.
I know exactly where this came from. and it was a kid we watched had it, and we didn't know. We just figured, he's always got some sniffly thing going on.
Oh boy.
Yep, and then all of a sudden he had it, and then you know Scutch didn't tell us that for about a week he couldn't taste anything. And I'm like, like his appetite like went downhill. And I'm like, are you okay? And he's like, yeah, I'm fine. And he wasn't saying anything about it. And I'm like, okay, and he's wearing masks at school, he's washing his hands and everything. So I'm like, okay. And then all of a sudden, he wants pizza one day. We get pizza, and he's like, oh, thank God I can finally taste again. And I was like, and at this point, Ty's already coughing. And I'm like, I was like, you have got to be kidding me.
Plague rats. They're all plague
Oh my
rats.
God. So immediately everything goes in lockdown. Um, Ty went and got tested because it had been like I think 5 days at that point, which is kind of useless because you're contagious up to that point too.
Yeah.
And so he went and got tested because I was just like, you've got it. You've got all the symptoms going on and you've got it. And he went and he got tested. Sure enough, he had it. And he was like, oh, it's no worse than the flu. And he kept saying that until he was absolutely laid out on the couch for a month.
Yeah. And then suddenly it was worse than the flu.
He still wouldn't admit it. And I'm like, you're gray.
Man.
Yeah, and he lost 20 pounds. He was dehydrated as hell when we got him to the ER because as soon as I took him to the doctor and the doctor looked at him, and I pointed out, I was like, his calf is bigger than his other calf. And she measured it and she's like, it is an inch bigger. And she's
Oh
like,
boy.
and it's hot to the touch. And she goes, get up to the ER. She's like, I'm calling ahead. And I was like, absolutely, we are going. And she did the pulse ox and it was like 70 something. And I'm like, yeah, we're going. And so she was like, yeah,
That's scary.
it was terrifying. And so we
You
got
didn't
up
tell me
to
that part.
we got up, well, her pulse ox kept like malfunctioning too, but it was like bouncing around. So it would be like in the 90s and then it would go down to the 80s. And I'm like, I am not liking that it's jumping around like this. So we got up to the ER and they were like, yeah, your pulse ox is low. And then they were like, they ordered the CAT scans and everything else, and they were like, because that's when we had the doctor with the elves in the blood. The elves,
Yeah.
the elves taketh away. I'm like, dude.
We are not 5.
I get where he was coming from because he was probably just furious that he even had to deal with it. But at the same time, I'm like, dude, I'm here. I'm fine. I'm vaccinated and I'm not an idiot. Like at this point, treat us like human beings. So I'm just like looking at this dude like, are you high? Like I am honestly terrified
You
right
got to
now.
explain about the elves in the blood because I don't know if we talked about that.
So the doctor was like, oh, there's elves, there's little elves in the blood that make blood clots, and there's elves in the blood that break down blood clots. And I was just like,
you mean amino acids and
I'm like, the elves giveth and the elves taketh away. Like, I don't understand why you're talking like this.
yeah, it's the strangest analogy.
It was so bizarre. And he was absolutely a jackass. And I'm like, oh God. I'm like, you know what? Just get through it. Get through it. And so he was like, oh, we could get a cat. He goes, we could keep you for observation, but then we're just going to sit there and stare at you like this. And he goes, we could order a CAT scan, but I doubt it's going to show anything, other than that leg blood clot. And I was like, I feel a lot better with a CAT scan of everything. And Ty was like, yeah, let's just do the works. And he did. And sure enough, there were blood clots in his lungs. And the doctor was like, oh, it's just little ones. And I'm like, any blood clots in the lungs are bad blood clots.
Any blood clots anywhere is a bad blood clot.
Yeah, I'm like, dude.
Unless it's a scab, and that's not technically a blood clot.
So we ended up so that's when they were like, oh, and at that point the doctor had already given him Eliquis for his leg blood clot.
Mhm.
And then he was like, oh, we'll just keep you here for observation, but you could just go home, because honestly all we're going to do is just stare at you. And I'm like, we're going to stay here in
What?
the hospital.
They have to monitor when,
Yeah, so this dude was like all over the place, and I'm like, I'm not like
okay, I'm not a doctor, but I get sick a lot.
I'm not a doctor, but my mother was a nurse, and
Yeah,
man, the story
and
she told.
when you're on multiple blood thinners, they have to
Well, at that point he was just
monitor
on
you.
Eliquis. At that point it was just Eliquis. And they'd
Okay,
given him like the preliminary dose that was a high dose to see if it breaks up the blood clot.
right?
And so I was like, okay. And then, they saw the clots in his lungs, and we got another doctor. And the other doctor was just like, I'm really not liking the blood clots in the lungs. We should just keep you here like overnight on heparin. And nobody told this dude that he was also on Eliquis. And so I said, is it going to interact with the Eliquis? And he goes, he's on Eliquis? And I'm like, literally just got prescribed Eliquis and given the first dose 20 minutes ago. And he goes, why didn't anybody tell me? I'm like, why didn't you look at the chart? It's right there.
It's like hanging on the door on the way in.
Well,
Like,
it's on the computer, because they've got computers now that you literally just
mhm.
tap it and there's all the patient's stuff, and they scan the wristband and it's there. And so I'm like, oh Jesus. So luckily his friend worked, he's a nurse in the ER. So when I was like, he's been here, he has not eaten or drank anything for over 24 hours. He's probably dehydrated. He's lost over 20 pounds in the last month. He needs fluids. He's definitely going to need fluids. And his friend was just like, they haven't given you any like IV drips or anything? I'm like, nope. So he hooked him up to an IV bag, and the jerk doctor came in and was like, what are you doing? And Ty's friend is like, he's dehydrated. And he's like, well, how do you know that? I'm like, because he hasn't eaten or drank anything in like a week. like,
Yeah. And
like I've
also
been,
look at him. The man is
yeah.
gray. His
Oh my
skin is
God, he was
loose.
gray, and he was like, he looked like a mummy. I'm like, oh God. That's like my parchment paper husband.
Okay, but can I say, like, it sucks how he lost it, but that 20 pounds gone looks good on him.
Don't tell him that. He'll get a big
I
head.
will tell him that. Where is he? Oh, Ty.
He does have a little Henry Cavill dad bod going on there.
He looks good. He looks really
Yes,
good.
he does. He's back to his fighting weight.
Yeah.
He was trying to lose the weight, so it's kind of funny. He asked me out on a lunch date yesterday, which is why I couldn't hop on yesterday, because we were out at a pizza place downtown, and he ordered a Caesar salad, and I was like, and he's like, what do you want? I'm like, 2 slices of cheese. I'm like, dude,
Slices of cheese pizza, extra cheese.
and you just throw like, I don't know, a cake on top of it.
Yeah. And 6 garlic knots.
Oh my God. The 20 pounds he lost, I gained and then some, because I am a stress eater. So
Yeah.
yeah, I have gained all the weight, and at this point, I mean, there's so many amazing food places opening up in town, like the Tea Room,
I'm
and
excited to come and check them out.
oh my God, the Tea Room is so good. I'm contemplating going there today, because she's actually open like this week too. So I'm like,
Gonna go without me, you meanie.
when are you coming?
I don't know. I gotta plan a winter trip up there though.
Yeah, you do. But yeah, it's amazing. Their scones are fantastic. In fact, I have 2 chocolate scones sitting on the counter calling my name, with strawberry preserves and fresh cream.
Okay.
Yeah, they're delicious. But they made cucumber sandwiches that are divine, and they were talking about getting pumpernickel bread just for like some variety. I was like, ooh, get the marble rye. It's got pumpernickel and rye bread with it. And so they went out and they bought a loaf, and they made new cucumber sandwiches with the marble rye. And
Ooh,
they were like, oh, these are even better. And I was like, you kicked it up a notch.
nice.
Yeah, they're awesome. They are such awesome people. I just
Sounds
love
like
hanging
a good
out with
time.
them too. Like I go there and hang out because it's just like the the tea stuff takes a minute to begin with. So if you're walking in there expecting like, oh, here's some tea and scones and on your way, not happening. You're gonna be there at least.
No, if it's a tea room, it's meant to be a leisurely, ritualistic kind of
Yep. And
enjoy
everything's
yourself
fresh made.
thing.
Everything's fresh made. So
Nice.
you order it and they make it. So
Very cool.
those scones are like hot from the oven. They smell so good. So yeah, I'm like scones. My son loves it. Like he goes there and we hang out, we chat, we eat the little tiny cucumber sandwiches, we eat the scones.
I love
He
it.
chats up the owners, and he was
I
very
wonder how
upset.
AJ would like it.
I don't know. It's the high tea takes a couple of hours.
Oh,
So
he's too fidgety for that.
yeah, Scotch was a little fidgety, but then the owners have a couple of teenage kids, so they came out and they were hanging out, and Scotch was
Okay.
talking with them for like a while. Like he was regaling them with his 10-year-old stories, and
Well, I was gonna say, if we're with you though, AJ will be telling you all about all of his stories of everything that has happened since he's seen you.
he already told me that in text.
But he hasn't told you, Aunt Susie.
As long as there's no dad jokes.
He is the worst with the dad jokes.
Oh my, and it's the same joke over and over. I'm like, I've heard this 20 times this weekend. Please stop.
Just stop.
Make it stop. It hurts.
Be prepared.
Yep, indeed. But yeah, I mean the food's amazing. The tea, they have a hug in a cup that is chef's kiss. It's
Hug in a cup.
yeah, it's lavender Earl Grey,
Okay.
and it has sugar and cream in it, which I never even thought to put like creamer or like, heavy cream into Earl Grey. It was just like
Oh,
foreign.
it's delicious in there
Oh my
with
God,
the
yeah.
bergamot and
With the lavender, oh my God, like it is a hug in a cup. Like
nice.
I was just like, oh my God, this is so comforting. It's like literally like my tea just hugged me. And
Yeah.
yeah, they're bottomless teapots too. So for $5, you get like unlimited tea. I
Well,
was
that's why the British say tea solves everything.
it clearly does. I mean, I'm
Look
gonna
at
argue.
you.
Look
Smiling.
at me, fat and
Whatever.
happy.
You're
Yeah,
far from fat, sweetheart.
it was it was painful when I went back to work because I was in a workout class, and so 20 pounds later, without doing much exercise, all of a sudden I'm trying to exercise
Keep up.
again. I was just like, I'm hurting. I can't. I was like,
We're not 22 anymore.
well, that, and I was 20 pounds lighter when I started the workout class, and then I came
Yeah.
back and I was 20 pounds heavier, and I'm like, oh God. I was like, I can't do it. I struggled through it. I think the person who runs the gym was appreciative of my efforts at least, but
Yeah.
it was awful because I was just like, I can't. It hurts. Like all of a sudden, like my leg muscles were cramping and my back was hurting, and I'm like, oh God, I have gained so much weight way too fast. And at this point, it's just like, I give up. Screw it. I'm like, there's a tea room. I'm gonna just go hang out there and eat all the scones.
You're at a good size though. You're like,
I'm 171 pounds right now.
no, you're not.
I am, and it hurts. Like my knees are killing me. My hips are killing me. My back is killing me. And I'm just like, I need to like lose all of this again. Cause I was down about 2 sizes, and I'm back. I'm kind of glad I didn't get rid of those old clothes because now I'm back into them again. Like, son of a bitch. I was there. I was
You'll
making
take it
it.
back off. You'll take it back off though.
Yeah, I definitely will once spring hits because I'm out in the garden and I'm
Mhm.
running around and everything else. But right now, it's just, it's so depressing because I'm, like I said, I hit that wall.
Yeah,
I see everybody struggling. I'm struggling. Emotions are just all over the place, and I can't. I just can't. I'm
yeah,
so tired all the time. So,
yeah.
yeah.
That's another episode for another day.
Oh, so many episodes. So,
Yeah.
with that, this is probably a good ending point for this one.
Yeah, we've been talking for a minute.
Yeah, we have. So I'm gonna pretend like it's another day for the next episode through the magic of
Just
video.
pretend, just pretend that the time is all wibbly wobbly
It's
and
wibbly
we
wobbly,
have
timey
changed,
wimey.
we have changed everything. We are not recording things in a row and just knocking them out right now.
Yeah.
Nope.
You don't have to pick up in any order at this point because we are all over the place. Like we usually
Indeed,
are.
we are. Mhm.
So see you guys later.
Bye. We missed you.
Mwah!
Mwah.